Chronic stress doesn't break the body loudly. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't cause immediate failure, but it does rewrite your physiology quietly over time. And that's why so many high performers don't see it happening until something feels off and they can't really explain why. Most people think of stress as a feeling, pressure, anxiety, overwhelm. But biologically, stress is not emotion, it's a signal. And when that signal stays on long enough, the body adapts to it. But not in a dramatic way, in a structural way. And here's what that actually means. Your body is built to respond to stress in short bursts. You encounter a challenge. Stress hormones rise. Energy's mobilized, focus narrows, job gets done. Then the signal turns off. Recovery happens. Systems reset. That on-off rhythm is what keeps physiology flexible. Chronic stress removes the off part of the equation. When the signal never fully resolves, the body doesn't stay activated forever, it recalibrates. And that's the part that most people miss. Instead of burning out immediately, the system rewrites its priorities. Energy production becomes more conservative, recovery becomes incomplete, non essential processes get dialed down a little bit, not because something is broken, but because the body is trying to survive long term demand. And this is where physiology quietly changes. The nervous system starts treating normal life as a threat. Baseline tensions rise, relaxation becomes harder to access, sleep becomes lighter and less restorative. Not because you can't sleep, but because the system doesn't feel safe enough to fully downshift. Over time, stress hormones stop following clean daily rhythms. They don't spike and fall the way they're supposed to. Instead, they flatten, drift, or fire at the wrong times. And that changes how fuel is handled. Blood sugar becomes less stable, energy availability becomes inconsistent, and crashes show up where they never used to. Again, not failure, adaptation. The metabolic system follows the same patterns. When stress is persistent, the body prioritizes immediacy over efficiency. Fuel gets diverted towards short-term needs instead of long-term energy production. You still function, you still perform, but everything costs more than it used to. And that's when people start describing energy as unreliable. Some days feel fine. Some days just feel inexplicably heavy. Same workload, different output. That inconsistency is not random, though. It is a system that has been rewritten to expect constant demand. Even recovery systems change. Muscle repair slows. Inflammation resolves less completely. Training takes longer to bounce back from. Not because the body forgot how to recover, but because it's operating under a different set of assumptions. Assumptions shaped by chronic stress. Now, here's the critical point. None of this requires extreme stress for it to occur. It doesn't require trauma. It doesn't require crisis. It happens from sustained responsibility, constant decision making, compressed recovery, and years of being on, especially in people who are competent and stubborn enough to keep functioning anyway. And that is exactly why high performers are so vulnerable to this. Not because they handle stress poorly, but because they handle it too well and for too long. The body learns that stress is the norm, and physiology reorganizes itself around that expectation. And this is why chronic stress is so often misunderstood. People look for dramatic symptoms, but the real changes are very subtle. Energy that doesn't replenish in the same way, focus that takes more effort to sustain, and recovery that maybe just never feels complete. Nothing is broken. The system has just been rewritten. Once you understand that, a lot of the confusion is going to disappear. Burnout stops looking like a mystery. Fatigue stops feeling personal. Decline stops being framed as weakness or aging. It becomes understandable and predictable and reversible once the right systems are addressed in the right order. But none of that starts with trying harder. It starts with understanding what chronic stress has actually been doing beneath the surface. If this video helps you see stress a little bit differently, share it with somebody who's been living under constant pressure and calling it normal. Subscribe for more physiology first breakdowns of burnout, energy, and sustainable high performance. And if you want to go deeper, the link in the description gives you free access to my executive energy blueprint. This isn't about stress management. This is about understanding how stress quietly reshapes the body over time.